I believe if we approach this conversation with those two things, we will truly hear, and we will truly be able to respond and act for what our students, our teenagers, our children need the most. What I've done is I've put a list together of 10 of the most influential, funny, I would say, most watched, most favorite fictional TV families that maybe we've seen, maybe we haven't. But if you've seen them, here's what I want you to do. I want you to raise your hand and make as much noise as possible, okay? If you're with us online, go ahead and just put the name of the show right there on the chat so we know which one is your favorite. So let's get started this morning. Have you ever seen the Brady's and Brady Bunch? Hey, starting strong. Well done, well done. Starting strong. What about this one? The Tanners of Full House. This is what I grew up on. I love Full House. I always wish I could be, Jesse, Uncle Jesse. I don't know what it is. Something about the leather jacket, man. It comes through strong, What about this one? The Banks of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, man, I'm gonna be preaching a long time today. Y'all got some juice, some interaction, some energy. I'm loving it. What about this one? The Bravermans of Parenthood. Yeah. Most likely, outside of one over here, you've seen it. You just don't know if you should be excited about it. I'm at church, I'm trying to be good, I don't know. But yes, the Bravermans of Parenthood. What about this one, The Simpsons? Wow, you were proud about that one. So afterwards, for all of those that are recovering from Simpsons, we're gonna have a prayer meeting right here. Put our hands on you. Our elders are gonna come forward and anoint you with some oil to get that out. What about this one, The Hortons in Days of Our Lives? Come on, my 60 and up crowd, where are you at? I did it just for you, 60 and up. They're not proud of it. Days of Our Lives. What about this? The Goldbergs from the Goldbergs. All right, see, this is a newer one. It kind of has the old school vibes. I do like it. I do enjoy it. I think it's pretty real, but that's just me. What about this one? The Belchers from Bob's Burgers. Yeah, all the 30 and 40-year-olds. Yeah, we like that one. But what about this one? Family Matters, the Winslows. Come on, let's go. And last but not least, this is new to the scene, but it seems to be mom's favorite, the Pearsons from This Is Us. Yeah, all the women, Jack. It's the only reason you watch it, Jack. But man, for many of us, we've seen these shows so many times, and they're definitely entertaining, but we all know it's not reality. They're fictional families, one, but also it's a complete lie that you can deal with some of these big issues, these big problems in less than an hour. It's impossible. And yet when we watch these shows, somehow they bring up this big problem 5 minutes in, and by the end of the episode, it's a happy family again. Oh, we dealt with it, we're good. Now, next episode. But for many of us, we come into church today knowing that the family dynamic is not always the easiest. For many of us, we're currently dealing with a child who has started acting out based on bullying or anxiety or stress during their school life. As parents, maybe we're constantly feeling the disconnection and the withdrawal from our teenagers as they get older, as they spend more time on social media and cell phones. Maybe as a parent, right now you're navigating how to co-parent, where one parent is strict while the other one is lenient. And you see the effects it's having on your child, the conflict, the confusion. Which rules do I follow? Which ones are more responsible? Which consequences are better for me? And you're constantly navigating these tensions. Maybe right now you're trying to impart certain values and beliefs on your child or teenager. Yet they're trying to learn their own beliefs, their own values. So as you sit down for lunch or dinner, there's tension in the conversation. When you talk about things like religion or faith, when you talk about politics or even lifestyle choices. Maybe right now you are most concerned as a parent about your child's choices of friends and the influence those friends have on them. Or maybe you're like me and my wife, Ashley. Currently, we're dealing with the tension on how do we manage the screen time of our oldest child, Gavin. As he gets older, all of his friends are on it. But how do we feel about it? What's going to be best for him? And you see, as we approach today's message titled Growing Pains, there's really a question that we're asking today. What do children want to say to their parents? And we know that family is the most important thing. We can all agree on that. But we can also agree that family is one of the messiest things. The family dynamic, and especially the tension that we face with children, is hard. It's complex. It's hard to navigate. And today, as we discover the answers to that question, what do children want to say to their parents? I don't speak to you as someone who has it figured out. I'm not up here because I have all the answers. Just like you, me and my wife are wrestling, trying to figure out this relationship as well. Because I too have 2 kids that are growing up way too fast for me to handle. But I do speak to you in this sense. I've been leading and serving the next generation for 14 years here at Crossroads. And I've had, thank you. And over the last 14 years, I've had the opportunity to just listen, to help students and parents navigate this relationship, the tension that arises in the relationship. And as I've listened to students speak honestly and vulnerably about the tension they face with their parents and the older generation, today I just want to simply bring you some insights of what I've heard. Insights of how I believe we can get better and do better and help them even more. Follow the life that God has for them. And before we even jump in, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page together. I want to make sure we have an open-handedness to this conversation. And I want to make sure we approach this conversation in the best way possible, because I know what it feels like when someone is telling me what to do with my kids. And let me be clear, I'm not telling you what to do with your kids. However, I'm telling you what your kids have told me that they need from you. And so I believe as we approach this conversation, there's 2 major things that I want you to hold on to as we have this conversation together today. The first one is this: before you were a parent, you were a child. Let me say it again. Before you are a parent, you were a child. Here's what I mean by this. And although it's super obvious, but before you had children, you were children. Before you had a child, you were a child. And no matter what age, stage of life you're in, no matter how much success that you have, no matter how healthy you are, no matter how old you are right now, you are still the child to your parents. You're still my baby boy. You're still my baby girl, my sweet girl, my angel. And we know the tension that our students are facing because we face that tension too. Before you were a parent, you were a child. Before you got on to your teenager for being 5 minutes past curfew, your parents were getting on to you for being 30 minutes past curfew. Before you got onto your teenager for having their phone at the dinner table, your parents got onto you for getting up from supper, walking over to the wall, and answering the landline. Before you were a parent, you were a child. So today, as we approach this conversation, I want you to know your student, your teenager, your children are not looking for sympathy from you. They're looking for empathy. And empathy is something we all have. Empathy is knowing the tension because we face the tension. We know what it feels like to be the child with an overbearing parent. We know what it feels like to be the teenager getting called out for all the things you're doing wrong. We know what they're going through because we went through it too. So the first thing I want you to hold on to is that before you were a parent, what were you? A child. You were a child. The second thing that I believe is going to help us out is from the greatest mind of leadership that I love. His name is Stephen Covey, and he says this. He said, we should seek to understand, then to be understood. This is not normal or natural for us. For many of our relationships, we would rather make someone understand our point of view than sit down and listen to theirs. Whether it's your marriage, your friends, your coworkers, your boss, especially your children. You just want someone to hear what you have to say instead of sitting down and listening to what they have to say. So today, as we approach this conversation, would all of us, whether it's parents or children who have parents, would we seek to understand and then be understood? Because I believe if we approach this conversation with those two things, we will truly hear and we will truly be able to respond and act for what our students, our teenagers, our children need the most.